Greetings to you all. We've been looking at issues of new psychotherapeutic methods that are needed, like one that we are talking about, which is holistic. And I've been saying holistic care is care provided by a multi-professional team. And so I would like to continue looking at this aspect of effectiveness in holistic care. In other words, what is it that makes holistic care effective or be able to achieve an intended goal? Firstly, as we were saying, it's a multi-professional team where different people from different areas will come together to help a patient or a client in dealing with their issue. But with what we've come up with in research right now, it's ideal that each one of these practitioners, caregivers, and psychotherapists are guided by particular principles. And this is because in holistic medicine, it's considered as an attitudinal approach to treatment than just a procedure. All right, and so there's a program called YOWADI, which is encouraging responsibility and uprightness. But this is guided by an attitude, which we've labeled as Phemegpren. It's an attitude that actually promotes health and moral ethics. And so we are looking at the fact that if all healthcare givers, whether holistic medicine, holistic nursing, holistic ministers of the gospel and so on, if they come together to form a team in handling a particular situation or condition, they can use a guiding principle, that which will guide their attitudes, not just them, but the client or patient as well. And so this is where there's what we are calling Phemegpren, and leading to a practice called Phemegprenology, where we actually look at the whole person, the spiritual, the social, the physical, and all other areas that make this person or individual healthy. And so we are looking at health not just in terms of medical terms or medical point of view, but we are looking at the well-being of the whole person. What are the most appropriate solutions to a problem that is found in life? Now, there are psychological problems, of course, mental problems, physical problems which physicians usually deal with, and spiritual as well, where we need the spiritual therapists, as I call them, to come in and work together to deal with this case that actually affects a person's all areas. In other words, all the areas in one person are actually affected. All right, and so we're encouraging research. All right, encouraging research where we'll not just theorize, but we'll go a step further, test and prove those theories in the field. Like lately, from the time of COVID-19, I was looking at the fact that staying home or working from home has a particular effect on an individual's attitude. But what kind of effect is that? All right? And so after coming up with something, I'm looking at application of that aspect in our homes. If we were to work from home rather than what we call the workplace, would there be any difference in our character, in our attitude, in the way that we look at work itself, relationships that we have in the home? How is this home environment affecting our behavior, starting with our attitude? And so this is where we are talking about inner healing, renewal of the mind, and discovery of true self-identity, which encompasses one's abilities, one's talents, one's knowledge, and therefore be able to put it into practice in a more effective way. Now, under Phemegprenology, it's looked at as a holistic care or holistic psychotherapeutic method that actually hinges on health and moral ethics in order to promote a behavioral change in people. But this behavioral change only comes when the attitude is targeted. And this is where the issue of the environment comes in, where we are saying the environment we are in, not just the trees, the soil, and the air, but the people that we interact with, the books that we read, the movies that we watch, all those have an impact on our mindset and eventually our attitude and behavior. And so in this approach of Phemegpren, as we are calling it, based on particular outlines, where we are saying that the physical, the social, the spiritual aspects need to be met through health principles or ethics, We need to apply that in the psychological area. We need to apply it in the spiritual area of an individual in order to meet not only the intelligence that we've always known about. Let us go further into emotional intelligence as well. These are things that will help us develop a particular approach to holistic health care. There has to be an attitudinal guidance on both the practitioners as well as the recipients, clients or patients. And this is the one we are talking about, where the practitioners develop an ideal environment for a client or patient to respond to as who they are and therefore receive their transformation. And not just transformation, but positive transformation. And this positive transformation comes about when there's a combination with restoration and reformation. In other words, let somebody's emotional health be restored while their identity is also known, leading to reformation. Once these combine with the renewing of the mind, we are led to positive transformation. Now, positive in the sense that transformation is basically change into another form, which means a person or an individual can change from being better to worse, which is negative. But they can change to a positive point or positive direction when they actually develop or become better. That's what we're talking about, positivity in this case. So it's positive transformation that Phemegprenology is aiming at, where somebody receives inner healing, which is restoration of their inner health. They actually undergo renewal of the mind, as well as reformation, which is discovery of one's self-identity. Once these three are combined, you're going to have positive transformation leading to positive behavioral change. And so what we are saying is that there's need for more research, more field work to be done in order to promote effective holistic care.